الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنك لعلى خلق عظيم. صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected brothers and sisters, it is very important for us to keep few things in our minds so that we can understand the basic and the roots of having good characters. We need to understand that the main teachings of akhlaq, of good characters, good morals, it is in the Quran. If anyone believes that I am behaving right, I am behaving correctly, I know what I'm doing, I'm not mistreating anyone, I'm not doing any wrong to anyone, I don't lie, I don't cheat, etc., etc. A person really believes in these things but does not know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained these things in the Quran. How did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us these good characters, how to learn and how to apply them in our lives, doesn't know. So that individual has misunderstood Islam. Because when it comes to my understanding and the understanding of the Islam itself is different. A person can say, and a person who is involved, let's say, al-yazu billah, he's involved in interest. For example, he, let's say, deals in interest. He has transactions in interest. He works in that department and he says, look, what's the rate today? Let's say 4.2%. Housing interest, 4.2%. And then what he says, okay, you know what, I'll give you 3.8%. And the deal is done and all that, and he says, look, I have done a good job. I did not do any unjust to that person. I did not charge 4.5%, but it was in the market 4.2. I could have what I would have done. I could have made him sign the papers of 4.5%, let's say. But I gave him 3.6% or less than 4.2. And he says, because I have a good character in me and I have done this, a favor to this person. So this type of a character, does it align with our Islamic teachings? No, it doesn't. No matter how less you give the rate, let's say 0.9%, 0.1%, but you're doing something wrong. So if a person says that I am this, I am that, I'm very good, I behave, I do not wrong anyone, I do not hurt anyone's feelings, I do not do this, I do not do that. But if that person does not have the correct teachings of Islam, that how does Islam teach, what does Islam teaches us regarding our good manners, and how to apply them in your daily life doesn't have that knowledge, that correct knowledge, then that person can be misled and can be misunderstood. That and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the manners and how He has explained them, how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has explained us. And without it, we cannot truly follow our religion. By understanding those explanations. And Rasulullah not only he explained, but he practiced upon them as a greatest example, so that his ummah, his nation, can follow him. Sometimes we really get deceived by our own actions, and generally everyone feels that I'm good. The way that I am living my life, I'm satisfied. A person can think, look, I'm not that religious, but when it comes to the rights of the people, I don't hurt people, I do not deceive people, I do not cheat with them, I do not lie to them. So that part is taken care of, but I'm not that religious. This is a totally false misunderstanding of having a good character. Maybe it might sound a bit difficult to understand, but inshallah, we get to that point that we can understand, inshallah. But when we look into the Quran, we read the Quran, we study it, we will realize that there are two things cannot be separated. When we read the Quran and read the translation and the explanation, we go into the deep. Two things cannot be separated from each other. Number one is akhlaq and number two is iman. Number one is akhlaq, good character. And number two is iman, our faith, belief. These two things cannot be separated. These two things have to be in one person. Otherwise, then that person will not be regarded as a virtuous person. Let me give you an example. If I go to someone's house and I follow all the, you can say, etiquettes by going to a person's house. Let's say I called before. Okay, I say, hey, I want to come to your house, I want to meet you. He said, okay, you can come. I go to the house, or let's say I did not call, I went without calling and I went to the house. So I'm ringing the bell, I'm knocking on the door. No one is opening. No one opens the door. I'm waiting there. Now what happens? I see a window next to the door and the curtain is, the window is uncovered. What I do, I go, because no one is opening, so I go and I peek inside. I go and see why is there not opening. I call in before, no one is there, no one is opening. So what I do, I see the window is uncovered, so I can see inside the house. Regarding I see something or I do not see, I see someone or I do not see anyone. I go in, I just peek inside. Why? I'm curious. Because the people, they know that I'm coming and they're not opening. So I peek inside, I see no one. Or even I see someone, let's say. Regardless. Will we be calling this an Islamic way? A correct way to do this action? Totally not. And if some other person, let's say walking on the street, sees you or sees me, let's say I give my example that I'm peeking, and someone walking on this road and says, hey, what are you doing? Why are you peeking in someone else's house without their permission? And what sentence comes out in these types of situations? Having your parents taught you a lesson that not to peek in someone else's house? No matter how I am committed to my faith, no matter how much I pray, I give charity, I do this, I do that. But if I am behaving in this way that I am looking into peeking someone's house, even though it's my parents' house, it's my brother's house, my sister's house, no matter how close relationship I am with that owners, I am not allowed to peek into anyone's house. Again, when we read the Quran, two things cannot be separated. One is akhlaq and one is iman. These two things has to be together. Period. If someone, let's say someone has iman, full iman, but does not have good character, not accepted. And I will mention this, a hadith will come. And if someone has very good akhlaq, but does not have an iman, that is also not accepted. So I gave this example. So this is not a virtuous action that I have done, that I'm peeking into the house and saying why this person is not opening, even though I have called before. Maybe some kind of emergency came in, or maybe sometimes people forget that we have invited someone, that if someone has called like a week ago that I'm going to come, and sometimes they left somewhere. What is the etiquette? What is the sunnah to do is that you knock or ring a bell 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. No one came in, you leave. That's sunnah. 3 times you wait. But now peeking, going around, window, the window is uncovered and you're peeking in, this is again the sunnah. This is not what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us. This is not, that individual is not a virtuous man. Do we think that Allah will be pleased with me with this action, that what I just have done? And even though I wake up in the night and praying tahajjud and not this and that. And what I said, if a third person walks and looks at you, what you're doing, who are you? Why are you looking? And you say, didn't your parents teach you any manners? In the Quran, what the Quran say? وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. Do not spy on others. So this is looking, peeking. We should not be doing that. We should not be looking into other people's houses. We should not be looking into other people's private life. We should not be looking into other people's messages and emails and all this without their permission. So everything comes in it. No matter how, when it comes to iman and akhlaq, our belief system and our characters, these two things have to be together. Two people are talking with each other, and I leave. Many times it happens in the masjid when there's a gathering. We're praying, and then when we go, we walk by just to listen what they're talking. So these things, we should not be prying on people's lives. I just prayed, and then I think that I'm a very good Muslim, praying and then listening to other people what they're talking. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. So when we are trying to separate good character from Iman, from our beliefs, that's a major mistake that we're making. Because the akhlaq, because what the thing is that we forget that in our religion, akhlaq is also ibadat. Right? Good character is also worship in Islam. So the same, what Allah has taught us, commanded us, and explained to us in the Quran, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us and explained us in the Quran, akhlaq, the same they have taught us, Allah has taught us, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us what? Iman. And ibadat. And people think that akhlaq and having a good character is their personal thing, there's personal life. No. Islam doesn't teach us that. Good akhlaq is in our nature, it's fitrat. In fact, when we study the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when a person through his good manners, when a person from his good manners, he tries his best to be a good human being, a good Muslim, good character, shows good characters, through that will get the level to equal of a person who worships his whole life. Imagine this misal that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave, that a person who shows good manners, he will get equal the reward of a person who performs ibadah all of his life. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to these companions that the best out of you of those who have the best manners. The best out of you are those who have the best manners, best characters. Then he did not stop there. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued and he said, "Wa khiyarukum wa khiyaru nisaihi." Yeah, the best out of you are those who are best to your wives, to their wives. What is this connection? The best amongst you are those who are best in manners. If he would have stopped there, we could have understood. Okay, the best. But then he continued. He said, the best amongst you are those who are best with their wives. Behave the best with their wives. Look, me, I can pretend myself. When I'm outside, I'm the best person. I can pretend. I can smile, I can laugh, I can joke, I can... Outside. And when I'm in the masjid, when I'm in the gatherings outside, I can be the best human being. But once I'm in my home, that's where I can be the worst. Because when I have been married to someone, it goes both ways, okay? By the way, it goes both ways. When I'm married to someone for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, I cannot hide my true reality is. I cannot hide. Maybe I can hide for a few days or a few weeks, but once we are living with someone, wife or a husband, they know each other very well. And when people go to my house and say, Omar Farooq is very nice, a good human being, this and that, my wife is, really? He doesn't even smile at home. And you're talking about whom? Omar Farooq? No way. You know what I'm saying? Understanding? So these, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, "Khiyarukum wa khiyaru nisaihi." that who is best among those who are best among you are those who are good with their wives, their behaviors, their characters with their wives. This is why Rasulullah ﷺ made it very clear that the good manners is part of our nature. Yes, it might be very difficult to bring that good character out of yourselves, but we need to work hard for that. We need to be true to ourselves. We might pretend to others outside, in our workplaces, in our business areas and all that, in the masjids, but these things are truly, when you go to the home and you ask the wife or you ask the husband, that's when you get the real report, the correct report of your own self. Subhanallah, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he found about any Sahabi or Sahabiya that their behavior is not correct against others, he became very upset about the behavior. If a person did not pray, salah, he wasn't that much upset than a person who was not behaving correctly with others. It doesn't mean that we should stop praying. I'm not talking about that. As I said, these two things, akhlaq and iman, are together. It cannot be separated. And I mentioned this quote. Many people, I do hear these things from many people. No, I'm not that religious, but I do not do wrong to others. I do not do this to others, this. So iman and akhlaq. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he heard that someone is misbehaving with someone else, he got very upset. Once someone asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, there are two women in our neighborhood. Two women who live together in one neighborhood. One is very pious, very salihah. In her day-to-day life, she's very strict in practicing Islam, but she misbehaves with her neighbors. And there's another woman, in her day-to-day, her worship, she's very lazy. She does sometimes, doesn't do. But she is very kind and nice to her neighbors. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this lady who is very kind to her neighbor, she will be in Jannah, and the other one will be in Jahannam. What does this hadith tells us? What is the lesson? Is there a lesson here that we leave everything, we do not pray our 5-time daily prayers, and we just become good to our neighbors, and that's it? This will make us go into Jannah? No, this doesn't mean this. The point clear is that we think that by doing certain worship and certain ibadat will make us a good person and will lead us towards Jannah. No, that's not it. We have fixed some of these ibadat that we do, our own, those ibadat that make for our own conveniences. Those things that are easy for us to do, we pick them and we leave others. We choose them and then we say, oh, I'm doing this is enough for me. So the point here in this hadith is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, of the hadith, the point is that we think that we are religious by doing certain picking and choosing ibadah, worship. And then our behavior is not correct with others. We are doing something, certain ibadat, but when it comes to our behaviors is ugly, and then we say, no, it's between me and that individual, Allah will, I'm doing my certain ibadat, Allah will accept it. And it seems that because we say sometimes, no, my behavior and my character is my personal life. Nothing is personal in Islam. There are certain things, yes, but this being a character, good character with others, no. This is what we are, many people unfortunately think about that way. And Allah is pleased with me because I do these certain things. We can never please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by misbehaving with others. No matter how punctual we are in our prayers, in our sadaqat, in our zakat, I have done 10 hajj and I have done 20 hajj. But if we are misbehaving with our parents, if we are misbehaving with our relatives, if we are misbehaving with our neighbors, then don't think that Allah is pleased with me. What will happen? We're misbehaving with others, and it gets into that person's heart, and he makes a prayer against you. What will happen? You'll be destroyed. So as I said, Quran and the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is full with the teachings of good characters. And I will inshallah, this will be to be continued for next Friday. I'll just end it with a hadith. Hazrat Qatada rahimahullah asked Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha, this hadith is in Sahih Muslim, that he asked, Ya Ummul Mu'mineen, tell me about the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha said, Alasta taqra'ul Quran? Didn't you read the Quran, recite the Quran? So Qultu Bala, he said, yes, of course I did. I recited the Quran. So Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha said, the whole Quran is the character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The whole Quran mentions about the character. You read the Quran, you follow it, that is the character of Rasulullah. The teachings and the commandments that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given in the Quran, that is the whole character. That's it. Very simple. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.